Let's be clear. Nowhere in the world you can make an advanced chip without European technology. But in the same way, we cannot imagine to make to do everything in on chip development in Europe without working with US companies or with Asian companies. So kind of isolating yourself in your cocoon in one country would be very silly, I believe, and very inefficient.
We hardly notice them, but they are everywhere. Semiconductors underpin everything from cars to artificial intelligence. If still was the defining hardware of the 20th century, microchips are the pillars of today's digital economy. As such, they are highly coveted and contested technology. Few organizations have shaped the global semiconductor innovation agenda as profoundly as Imec, the research organization based in Leuven, Belgium. Over the past 41 years, Imec has grown into the world's largest independent nanoelectronics and digital technology research center. And today I'm joined by the CEO of Imec, Luc van der Hove. Luc, thank you for being with us today. Over the years, Imec has significantly grown its international footprint. As we speak, you are in the process of setting up new R&D hubs in Spain and Qatar, which will add to your existing operations across Europe, Asia, and the United States. In a world where countries are fiercely competing for such type of investment, what is the logic behind Imec's international strategy, and what makes a location Imec ready, if you may?
Well, I would say that from our side, from the IMEC side, the reason why we're kind of expanding on an international scale is because we really act as a global research center. We work with all major companies active in the semiconductor value chain, whether they are in the US, in Europe, or in Southeast Asia, like Taiwan, Korea. We work with many of those companies, with nearly everybody active in the semiconductor value chain. And so one important reason for us to grow on an international scale is to be also close to our partners, to have technical teams close to our partners, wherever they are in the world. But another reason to grow international is also to kind of link and form partnerships with complementary research centers or with top universities across the world, because the IMEC model is very much kind of, we are in between kind of the academic research, and our role is to kind of build on a lot of these disruptive innovation, but then transform them into industry innovations. And also very important, I think, is the access to talent. By having multiple centers spread across the world, we can also hire local people who may not be interested to kind of make the transition to Belgium.
And as IMEC goes global, the semiconductor industry, which in a way has pioneered the really global value chain since the 1960s, is somewhat fragmenting as it gets caught in the crossfire of this big clash for global hegemony, if you may, between the US and China. So I wonder, what is going to be the role of your satellite R&D centers? Are they going to enable the local ambitions for regionalization and tech sovereignty?
Well, I think that indeed it's very important also to position this in this global evolution where everybody realizes the strategic importance of chip technologies. And we are certainly very strong believers in the fact that global collaboration is still going to be needed. I mean, this industry has grown so much because of the interlinkage between many players spread across the world. I believe that this is going to remain extremely important. But having said that, it is clear that every region, every government wants to have a strong contribution in this overall value chain, and wants to play in this domain. And so that's also one of the reasons why this global presence of IMEC is so important, in order to tap into the local ecosystems and kind of make sure that we connect the ecosystem globally.
There is a decoupling in the semiconductor space happening, at least when it comes to the United States and China. Um, do you expect this trend to accelerate or rather stifle innovation in the semiconductor space?
Well, we are very convinced that the semiconductor industry has become successful thanks to this global collaboration and specialization. The challenges in the semiconductor industry are becoming so big that nobody can do it alone. But of course, as you say, the world has changed. We're not living in the same world as 10, 15 years ago. And there has been a gradual, more and more decoupling, certainly on advanced technology. And so it's clear that from our perspective, I mean, our major partners are in US, are in Taiwan, in Korea, in Japan, in Europe, among the like-minded countries, and that's where our focus is.
IMEC is also one of the, if you may, few jewels in the crown of European innovation, at least in the realm of digitization, where the prominence of US or Chinese companies is clear. Isn't it legit in a way to expect that at some point the European Union will try to protect you and limit your international exposure than increase it? You are an independent research center, but the Flemish government is part of your board. So do you feel any kind of political pressure going in that direction?
I don't think it would be very clever to do that, because it's as I said, this industry is so much interconnected, and we really need each other. Let's be clear. Nowhere in the world you can make an advanced chip without European technology. But in the same way, we cannot imagine to make to do everything in on chip development in Europe without working with US companies or with Asian companies. So this industry needs each other. We need each other. There are so many reverse dependencies and interlinkages. So kind of isolating yourself in your cocoon in one country would be very silly, I believe, and very inefficient.
So are you also suggesting that in the case of China, for example, they will struggle to close the gap in technology like lithography, where they still lag behind a European lithography (SML), which underpins the technology and the manufacturing process of Western semiconductor companies?
Well, we all know that China, in terms of technology nodes, is a couple of nodes behind the Western world, and access to advanced lithography is crucial for that. And so EUV lithography, we all know that it's not accessible to China, and that indeed limits their development on leading edge nodes, let's say sub 5 nanometer. I think this is pretty well known. Of course, everybody knows that China is also aggressively investing in developing their own solutions. But as I said, this is I mean, if you can't rely on global collaboration on this, there is some hampering of the progress, I would say.
And what is the role that Europe can play in the future of semiconductors? The European Union has a plan to meet 20% of global demand of semiconductor by 2030. Do you think that these are realistic ambitions?
Well, I think this absolute number of 20% is maybe not the most important part of the plan. The plan, the most important part is to have to put semiconductors as a priority in the overall policy, and make sure that Europe can strengthen its position globally. And as I said before, you don't necessarily need to do everything in the value chain in every location, I think it's very important to create crucial strengths within the region and strengthen those strengths, and in that way make sure that you create also reverse dependencies so that the rest of the world needs you. And I think Europe has unique strengths in terms of you refer to Imec as a top research R&D provider to the world, but also ASML, of course, with lithography. So we have very unique strengths, but also in many of the chips for like automotive or sensors, and so Europe is leading in many of those markets. And I believe that on the other hand, Europe also is a very big market for chips. Lots of data centers are built up, AI factories are built up. So Europe is an important player, and I think with the very strong commitment from the European Commission, it is very important that this will allow us to further strengthen our strengths.
You mentioned artificial intelligence. AI has tremendously accelerated the development of semiconductors, and AI labs and tech companies have pledged to invest trillions of dollars into the development of chips powered data centers. But if all those pledges really materialize, we are facing energy consumption levels and prices that are really going through the roof. And some countries or local geographies are already feeling a pressure between competing users of electricity. Is there a way to make it happen somewhat more sustainably?
No, absolutely. I think this is one of the primary reasons why there is so much push on making sure that we can develop more energy efficient technologies, why continuing on the roadmap, continuing Moore's law is so important. Many people have predicted the end of Moore's law so many times, but AI is actually one of the most important drivers to make sure that we innovate such that we can continue Moore's law for the next 20 years, and that's kind of the role we're trying to play, because it's the most efficient way to increase the complexity of our chips in an exponential way, which is needed in order to address the exponential need, the exponential increase that is required to run all these AI models.
Luc van der Hove, the CEO of Imec, thank you very much for your comments and for being with us today.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for watching. If you're following this on YouTube, please like and subscribe, or else follow all our coverage on our website, fdiintelligence.com.